this is the biggest opportunity in media.
But you're saying if you just do it consistently for a long enough period of time, like you're going to unlock this.
Absolutely.
Even with 800 followers, you could sell $50,000 in services. It's really just 3 steps, and you can even use just your phone. So the 3 steps to take short form video seriously are: first, break the seal; second, learn the edit; and then third,
taking it through these steps, all of a sudden you come out of the other side, having never made a video, never made a short form video, we've now got the chops. Having something interesting to say in the text goes a long way. Something that we always see people get traction with is...
I like that a lot. When it comes to hooks, Colin teaches 3 keys. He says it's crucial for at least one of those to be really good.
It really comes down to like adding qualifiers to the hook in the video itself that make the value that you're delivering relevant to a specific person who's suffering from that.
By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with a very clear, actionable plan. You'll understand why daily posting matters, how to make strong hooks, and how to simplify your short form strategy.
I will never again do a business where I don't have short form as like the primary driver of getting attention, leads, in the overall marketing strategy. It's that big of a deal.
I like that. Colin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so up on the board, we have the main thing that we're going to teach, which is take short form video seriously. We'll get into hooks. We'll get into all of the things on the how-to side of things. But I want to start with why. Why should someone take short form seriously?
I think that the opportunity with the algorithms on like Instagram Reels and TikTok in particular right now are a generational media opportunity for entrepreneurs, marketers, and the like. And that's kind of what's driving the conversation.
So I've seen a lot of people maybe 2 or 3 years ago go all in on Instagram or all in on short form in general, and it take off and like pay off for them in a huge way, where they're now 1 million plus followers, a thriving, I guess more importantly than the followers, $1 million a year plus in revenue business off of that. But there's this idea that you might be late, right? Like that worked before, it's not working now. You had to have been the person to like stack the bricks and build this up before. Tell me how you're seeing that, because you're also seeing a lot of people start brand new in the last, 6 months, 3 months in your latest cohort of the course and get traction. What do you think about the timing of this whole game?
I think the nature of the beast is that things change significantly over time. The algo changes, human preference changes, and that kind of drives the fact that saturation is a myth. Mm-hmm. Combined with bringing a unique perspective to this, right? If you want to show up and make fitness videos, and don't add anything on top of that, and don't bring a unique perspective, then it probably is too late for that. Whereas it might have worked 3, 4, 5 years ago. But really, it will never be too late if you're doing something novel and interesting on any of these platforms or YouTube or similar.
Give me an example of 1 or 2 students in your Cut 30 program, which we'll get into and explain what that is and how it works. But people who like transformed either their life or business through creating short form video.
I like to give our biggest success story as an example, only to say that it will definitely not happen to you if you start making videos or if you take Cut 30. But our biggest success story in Cut 30 is Hans Laurie.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he's got, I think, 650,000 followers now. He's massive. He started with literally 0, like started a new Instagram account. And he's completely crushed. But my favorite thing about Cut 30 is that it doesn't take 500,000, 600,000 followers, and it doesn't take videos with 1, 5, 10 million views in order to have a huge impact on your business.
So diving into Hans, for example, so he's a designer, like interior design, yep. All of that. He cares about amazing aesthetic. He does the same format of video pretty much, where he's diving into a particular style, or he'll have a video on like why you should take more risks in your interior design.
I love his stuff. Yeah.
And it's all green screen, talking head. He's got the mic that he's holding, he does the same thing every time, and he delivers on these hooks. He's able to, actually, that'll be interesting to get into later, have these amazing visuals in his background that change because they're effectively just slides, of all these different images. But talk a little more about Hans in particular, and then how he builds a business on the back end. Like, what's he actually selling with that attention?
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what he does outside of increasing the demand and ticket on his interior design services. I know he's looked at some different info models and whatnot. I'm not sure what he's doing on that front, but it worked particularly well for him because what he does is so visual in nature, right? You see a lot of graphic designers, interior designers, architects. Things that are visual are inherently work well for short form and for content in general, I guess. But what he's nailed is finding his own format, which is like akin to finding a voice, right? And you just described it. It's not super high production value. It is very consistent, right? It's basically these muted slides behind him. One of my favorite things about what he does is he always has this weird glare on his glasses. Early on in Cut 30, we were like, you got to do something about that. He just went for it. And 500, 600 videos later, it's still there. But it's proof in the pudding that like my favorite thing about short form is that it kind of strips the production value out of the equation, and it forces you to just bring actual value and bring meat to the content and not use fancy edits or expensive cameras as a crutch.
There's so much I want to get into, but what's an example of someone maybe on the other end of the spectrum who has built a small audience of the right people and it's made an impact in their business? I know there's people who work in services, all kinds of things, who have gone through Cut 30.
So my favorite one of these, we were talking about this beforehand, so it's tip of my tongue. It's this guy in the UK who makes websites for construction companies. Now it's a one-man shop, not a huge business, but he did Cut 30. His name's Ben. I don't remember his handle. Sorry, Ben. He did Cut 30. He never got a video over 1,500 or 2,000 views. I think last I looked, he had 900 or 1,100 followers, something like this. Not our best case study in a lot of ways. But Ben in Cut 30, in that first 30 days of like taking this stuff seriously, had to stop making videos because he got overwhelmed with business. And it's just like such proof in the pudding. We're talking about the right people seeing your content earlier. And if you make websites for construction companies in a specific market, you don't need 1 million people to see your video. Right? You need like a marketing manager or an owner or a CEO of said construction company to see it and be like, man, I could really be doing better with this. And you're booked up for the year. I don't know what that looks like if he's got a 10-person team and a whole agency to feed. Again, he's like a 1-person contractor, but literally he had to stop. And last I looked at his profile, he still hadn't posted, so I assume business is good.
And there's a whole thing of how we get him to like convince him to keep that flywheel going while maintaining the capacity. But like one thing at a time, he showed up to Cut 30, and we'll explain what that is in a moment. But in order to solve a problem, if he's like, I have services to supply to the world and not enough demand. I have excess supply, not enough demand. And that problem is solved so much that he was like, oh, that actually worked a little too well. Yeah.
And he also didn't have like robust video experience or camera equipment or any of this stuff. He really just knew he should be communicating about what he does in a modern way online. And it turns out it works.
I love that. Okay. I want to back up a little bit. And when you started Cut 30, you've worked on a bunch of different things, and this is all a side project for you. And so what are the things that you're working on before? And like, how do you spend your time outside of the side hustle of teaching hundreds or thousands of content creators how to grow online?
Yeah. Coming up on 2,000, I think, probably next one. So I'm a marketing guy, have been all of my life, and worked a lot in consumer brands. That's where my other main business lives is in consumer. And for me, the content journey, I think we met on Twitter when it was still called Twitter. And having made content for brands or for clients or whatever it may be, my entire career since I was like 20, I at some point had this inkling to make content for myself. And that started on Twitter, like I said. And then fast forward a couple of years, that worked. It was very fruitful, as many people know. And then I basically had this group chat with myself, Oren Schabel, Oren Meets World, and Alex Garcia. If you are in the Twitter sphere, I guess, certainly that ilk of it, you probably are familiar. We had this group text where we were all just attacking short form video and talking about it, like what's working, what apps we're using, so on and so forth. And every single day we're all in there sharing our experiences. And at some point it was like, we should just put all of this together and teach other people. I think for me, it was this light bulb moment of, I had this running note stock. And I think the 4th or the 5th time where I had just like copy and pasted this massive note into a text message to a friend, it was like, okay, maybe we should like,
because someone's saying, I see what you're doing. I want to do it as well. Give me the best tips.
And it's just like, a bomb. It's like, it's like 5 minutes of scrolling, right? It's unwieldy. I don't know why I wasn't just sharing a note. Anyway, like it was this, maybe we should like put this together and in a more shareable way. And if we did that, like maybe other people would get value from it. Maybe we'd do a thing. And so the first version of this business was very much a side project. It's getting less and less so these days, but it was a Notion doc, and it was like $250. And then we're like, and we'll do some Zooms too. Like that was right. It was like, we're going to do some Zooms where we talk about this stuff, and we're going to share this big unwieldy Notion doc. That was, I think we're on session 18. And then as of recently, especially, the realization is like, we've got a really good thing here. We've taught almost 2,000 creators, aspiring creators, and brands, marketing managers, founders, these kind of people, how to do short form video. And it is such a big deal that we're kind of in the process of shifting and taking it more seriously and hiring some people. And for me, it's my first foray into like info and education. My mom's a teacher, so there's this element of it that I really like. I also really like the margins. Yeah. Coming from a consumer product background,
you're like, over
what
here.
Have I been doing?
You're like, I've got supply chain issues. I've got low margins.
I've got
supply, all this stuff. And you're like, wait a second, you all are just selling this at like 95% gross margin?
Literally, like, wait a second. Yeah. So we're kind of leaning into it, both based on the success we've had, kind of half-assing it, as well as just the need. And it's not going anywhere. I think the most compelling thing about it to me is, in this day and age, like, you still have entire armies of creators who are just on X, just on YouTube, doing YouTube, but not really attacking Shorts or TikTok or Instagram, as well as brands and businesses who do nothing, or still treating it like it's their portfolio and posting photos like it's 2015. So
today, Cut 30 is roughly $1,000 product where people are paying to get the training and then the accountability to show up every day for 30 days straight and produce a short form video and really learn through doing.
Yes.
Right? You're not staying in the academic world. You're like, look, the only way you're going to get good at this is if you get your hands dirty. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I think a question we get a lot is like, well, should I just like have somebody that works for me do this, or hire somebody to do this? And to which I say, everything that you do in a business as an entrepreneur, it is easier to manage it, delegate it, outsource it, whatever it may be, if you understand it deeply, or at least at a surface level. So we get founders every day that want to just offload it, that I bully into joining,
actually showing up and doing it themselves.
And doing it, and it works every time. Like it's so much more impactful when you get in there and get your hands on it yourself.
I mean, that's such an interesting thought, because I would have the same approach. Like, I deeply understand the value of the content. I understand how important the algorithms are and like what the opportunity is that we can have. But like, I run a 100-person company. And so I'm like, oh, even though I want to pursue this, to be like, oh, let me have someone on my team take Cut 30.
Yeah.
And I think what you'd say is like, yeah, absolutely, they should, alongside you.
Yeah. I mean, really, right? And like, people are like, well, I don't want to learn how to be an editor. It's like the power of your phone in your pocket and what you can do on it. Like, do you also want to like not take a photo of your kid when they're doing something cute because you're not a photographer, right? And like, I think that is like, that in a microcosm is what we try and enable, is capturing that and then making it something useful, right? We're not teaching anybody DaVinci or Premiere or Final Cut. We're just teaching how to make compelling content, and really like how to move with the internet in 2025, 2026, because it's very, very different from 5 years ago even.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to dive into what it means to take short form seriously. We'll get up on the board in a second. And that matters for every creator, whether you're doing it yourself or you're saying, look, I'm at the scale of $1 million a year in revenue, and I'm going to hire people to do it. It's like, well, you need to still understand these.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth it. It's worth it. I think we were talking before, like, this is the biggest opportunity in media. Like, I will not be convinced otherwise. Yeah. Right? Like,
because you have firsthand examples again and again where you're like, people are blowing up.
And like you get to make a piece of media and upload it, and you will get views guaranteed. And if it performs well, you will get more. And like, we've never had that, right? Like, not in the history of any of this stuff. Not only have the gates fallen, but there's an algorithm here to boost it, and that's exciting.
Well, let's dive in. Take short form video seriously. We talked about why it's important to do it. We've got 3 steps listed out here. What's the first step in taking short form seriously?
The very first step is, at the most basic level, becoming a creator, right? Even if it's not part of your big picture vision, even if you have an army of editors ready to take your podcast clips and slice them up and upload them for you, it is to make. So at the most basic level, it's simple stuff like a 1-shot or a 10-shot. And a 1-shot is something you see in your Explore page all the time, right? It's literally a single clip with text over it.
Becoming a creator is really important. What would you say I should write down here as that first step?
I think number one is breaking the seal. It doesn't need to be big, fancy. Doesn't need to be a complicated edit. You just have to start.
I think that idea of just starting is really important because the way I would approach it, actually, the more experience you get as a creator, probably the easier it is to fall into this trap, right? Of like, okay, I already have tens of thousands of views and attention and all of this stuff. And so now when I come to a new platform, I need to do it to the same standard that I've been doing before.
Need to have a backlog, need to have the schedule, what's my strategy? Things. Totally, yeah.
And so you're saying, no, that's absolutely wrong. Like you need to just start and upload something.
I think it's best to start from zero and treat this like a new venture, a new platform, whatever it may be. I know for me personally, that kept me from doing this for literally years. Like literally years. And I had this moment of, I just need to go sit down and make this video and see what comes out the other side. And the good news with all this stuff is if it sucks, then the algorithm's not going to show it to anybody, right?
Yeah, would you start, let's say you have an account that you've had for a while that has 5,000 or 10,000 followers on it from other things. Would you start pick up on that same account or would you start a fresh account?
For me, I had my personal account from when I was in college and had a bunch of friends. And I think personality and being human is a big valuable part of this, unless you're doing something where that's where that just doesn't make any sense. So I just jumped in with my existing account. We always tell people unless there's a very specific reason why you can't just use your personal account, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting complicated of all these different things. Okay, let's talk about that first video that we should make. What do you recommend?
So assuming you're starting from absolute scratch, we call these a 1-shot. And this is a single, typically fairly static clip. It is 6 to 7 seconds long. And the video clip, the visual is kind of a context set.
Okay.
And the text is where the meat is and what the video is actually saying.
That was something that actually surprised me about Instagram. Is I was used to Twitter or X, where it's all about the text and the hook and all of this stuff. And can you keep and hold attention through written content? And then actually on Instagram, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, certainly.
Your hook is different. It might be the 6 to 7 seconds of B-roll or whatever else.
Yep, absolutely.
You're just getting that first post.
I mean, so a 1-shot and really with everything, the copy is everything, of course. With this especially, it is a text-driven format, and a really compelling visual is obviously going to take it up a notch and make for an even better video. But having something interesting to say in the text goes a long way. Relatable stuff, listicles with value or information or stats, so on and so forth. Something that we always see people get traction with is with that listicle style, where it's 5 things I learned as a CEO of Yetada, right? And it's just some of these 5 things. That's probably a bad example though, because it's overly generic. And there are 100,000 CEOs that could make that video in the United States, right? Everything around short form and I guess content in general, I think it's critical to drill down into stuff that only you can make. But just raw, clear value in text with a very simple visual and boom, we just made our first video. It should take you 15 minutes.
And so I guess coming from another platform, which a lot of our viewers are going to be coming from somewhere else that they've been established, you could just go back to your most popular content and say, oh, how would I remake this written content as a 1-shot?
If we have a YouTube video that dives into XYZ, go pull some key points out of it, pull the punchline out of it, so on and so forth. The meat is really everything there.
And so, you have 1-shot on here, the shot actually matters. Now it looks like I'm crossing it out.
Yeah, we get it.
I'm underlining it. There we go. I've heard someone else describe this as 5 seconds of B-roll.
Yeah.
Is that what are examples that you've seen do well of that? Is that you at your computer? Is that
Yeah, with a simple video like this, the most important thing about that visual is setting the context, right? So if it's like professional advice, yeah, like I'm sitting at a laptop. That's also like fairly boring, right? So there's an opportunity to spice that up with I'm sitting on a laptop at a beach in Bali and the sun is setting, right? Same basic clip. With this kind of video, you don't have to have the visual. It's just going to be a nice to have every single time. Like a lot of the homework we give is to use a clip that is sitting in your phone already.
Just like scroll through and find.
Yeah, just to remove the barrier of like, oh, like a lot of people go like, oh, I have to go and like manifest the perfect. No, right? Pump the brakes. We just need a clip and we need some text.
Okay, what's the second one?
Second one is to start to get chops around very basic edits. And again, this is like, we'll have people come in that like, you know, they're like, well, I prefer DaVinci and right? Yeah. Like, and I want to shoot everything on a red camera and so on and so forth, right? Doing very basic chops in CapCut or even natively in edits or in TikTok is going to go a long way, again, to just start to get the feel for like how this stuff works and how you put it together. So we do what we call a yap, which is I think is a fairly universal term in the short form world, which is like a dude talking about stuff, for lack of a better descriptor. It's raw. It's kind of these style videos that look like you might be just like FaceTiming with a friend, except for I'm uploading it to Facebook. It's just talking about stuff, right? You take your yap on a topic and pull that into a CapCut or similar, and just in the most basic way, slice and dice it up. Pull out, slice out the pauses, tighten it up, and get a concise video out of the other end. And in doing that, all of a sudden we have gone through the whole process. We have at least outlined something. We have talked about it. We have edited it down into something concise and made a video. And taking it through these steps, all of a sudden you come out of the other side, having never made a video, never made a short form video, we've now got the chops. It probably took way too long. It was rough. It was a little bit painful, but you learned a truckload, and you do that another 5, 10, 30, 200 times, and it's a different animal.
Okay, so here we're really going with a written script in this idea of breaking the seal and delivering our one shot. When you're actually like learning to edit and you're diving into a video that you're actually delivering to the camera, how much of that is scripted versus it's me just riffing on an idea?
I think everyone is different on this front. What I've found is, for me, time that I save, I can talk all day, right? Time that I save not scripting, I typically spend hacking the video into what I need it to be and editing.
So it's going to take the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So do you want to?
And one is much more frustrating than the other and leads to like weird glitches in the footage. But so for me personally, at the very least, I'm always outlining. Very occasionally, I'll just let it rip. And everyone is different on this front, but I never recommend diving right in and just talking. The thing that most people don't get is basic stuff like turns of phrase, the way that you connect 2 points. It's really easy to get really, really repetitive on these things. And when we shorten that down to like a fairly concise video that's like 20 to 60 seconds long, that kind of stuff jumps off the page, and it also wastes a truckload of valuable time. And that's, for me personally, that's the biggest value I get out of scripting, is making sure that I'm not, again, connecting phrases with the same thing over and over again, and just wasting my words. Because you don't have words, you don't have seconds to waste in short form.
What's the target length that we're going for? Or is it not about length and it's just about like density and speed to value?
Yeah, like the word I use is efficiency, right? And that's very important for hooks, which we'll get to. But word efficiency is the basis of short form. Why it's so good, why people love it, why it's popular, and why it's an opportunity is because you have an opportunity to pack into a very small package a bunch of value, entertainment, whatever it may be. An analogy I like to use is you get on YouTube and go search for like how to screw in a light bulb, right? You hit play on that video, it's like, hey, I'm Colin. While you're here, go like and subscribe and da-da-da-da-da. Today, we're right, and then all of a sudden, a minute or 2 minutes into it, here's the light bulb. I chose this brand, right? You do that exact same search on TikTok, and it's like, it's a 12-second video, right? So you do this, boom, you're done, right? And that's the whole deal, right? That's why the kids these days are searching and using TikTok like a search engine instead of Google, is because it's not full of SEO fodder and like long drawn out intros.
Right. Like there's no longer a benefit. Yeah. One of my favorite ways to get really efficient with content and speaking in this way is called the accordion method. And it's from the guys over at Ultra Speaking. And what they do, I've seen them do this live a bunch, is they say, okay, pick a topic that you could riff on, right? It might be golf, it might be software design, whatever the topic is, and teach me something in 2 minutes. Start a timer, go. As they run through it, it's like, great, you did the 2 minutes. Okay, now do it in 1 minute and teach me the essence of it. Shorten it down. Okay, now do it in 30 seconds or 15 seconds. And you're like, okay, I can't. And you shorten it down. And they're like, amazing. Now let's go a little longer again. Now you're allowed to have the 45 seconds or the minute. And you went from how do I possibly fit this whole thing into this amount of time to like, wow, a minute is actually a ton of time.
I mean, every time I write a script, it's like you're always disappointed to find that you could pretty much just delete like 30 or 40% of it and have the same video. But I think it's important because then that gives you room. It doesn't mean it should just be rapid fire always, but then you fill that space with personality and quips and things to make that video your own, to add on to the value or whatever it is there. And you've got a great short form video out of the other side.
What else in this edit step really matters?
I think broader than editing, it's like a workflow conversation, right? And it's funny, you have people automatically go to teleprompter when we're talking video, right? And the cleanest, easiest workflow with short form video is to use the built-in camera in Instagram or TikTok or CapCut. I love CapCut. It's the built-in camera in CapCut, and then record a line at a time. If you think about scrolling through your For You page or your Explore page on Instagram, very rarely do you see a video that's somebody just going off the top of the head for 60 seconds straight, no breaths, no cuts. They're just letting it fly, right? We don't actually need a teleprompter. If you write a great script and then start recording and focus on one line at a time, you get to think about nothing but your delivery, your performance, and making that come across with impact, and spend zero energy on like memorizing the thing and what's the next word and letting that stumble out. And it makes for a much better video. Again, unless you're trying to do this like long, drawn out rant all in one piece. But even then, those are chopped up and you just don't need to nail it all in one take.
So I might have my laptop up with my script and then the video, doing the face to camera. And so like look at it, deliver the line.
Yep.
Is that basically the workflow?
That's exactly it. And again, in the CapCut camera, like if you want to do 2 takes, you record those in line, and using that workflow, when you then go move on, you have your timeline built. You can go back in there, trim, delete the extra one you didn't like, so on and so forth. It takes a lot of the like file management that comes with video editing, just like out of the conversation.
Right, because it's all contained.
It captures it all in the project and lays it out in the timeline, ready for you to chop it up and move forward.
What do you think about people building their transitions into that? So like Jefferson Fisher is this amazing content creator who went from 0 to 5 million followers in 24 months, I believe. His videos, it'll be like, here's the 3 things that you need to know when talking to a narcissist, or like how to win an argument or whatever, right? He always does like this wipe transition or something like that in between his takes. Does that matter? Or you're like, no, just the punch in?
I mean, I think that like as you get further down the road, then you start thinking about like what's my signature format and like how I'm going to come across and how I'm going to package this. And I would put that into that bucket, right? And so how you end up executing that, there's a lot of ways to do it. Early days, like finding the perfect transition probably doesn't matter. I would argue that in a lot of cases, finding the perfect one never matters. Finding one does, right? And having a format. It's the same as like having a brand kit for a brand kit for kit or for a consumer brand, right? Is like, how do we present this? What type do we use? What kind of transitions do we use? So on and so forth. That's another thing that I know I personally was extremely hung up on. We talked to a lot of brands coming through that are like, well, right, everything. Like we need to figure out how like our brand shows up in short form and how right? And all of that can come kind of secondary after you break the seal and get this rolling, and is less important than we think.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of things that are in that list of like, oh, this must really matter. And you're like, it doesn't.
No, not.
So on that note, for taking short form video seriously, what's the 3rd step?
The most important thing after the first one is showing up again tomorrow, doing it again, and trying to make it a little bit better.
So many people are going to dive into this and they're going to do it once or twice and not get results. Turns out this first video might get 20 views, 50 views. They might start to learn the edit and be like, wow, this is actually wildly frustrating and difficult. But you're saying if you just do it consistently for a long enough period of time, like you're going to unlock this.
I think it's always it's always tough for people to grok that, like anything, learning something new, it takes a while and it's frustrating at the beginning.
Right.
And then you get rapidly faster. And I think there's all sorts of philosophical conversations around like how often you should be posting and all these things. Like I always preach every day because of the learning curve that it creates. And maybe big picture, you come up for air and every day isn't right for you. But if you go every day for 90 days or 120 days, all of a sudden you look back and it's like, I just made 100 videos, right? Like the speed that you learn at, the speed that you pick up that skill is unprecedented. I've never had anything that I've tackled that I have like taken that approach that aggressively with like an everyday sort of practice thing,
right?
And then had the kind of outcome from doing so. It's just like it works every single time.
You know, what's funny is there's so many things in life that if you were to do it every day for even 30 to 60 minutes would transform your life. Like if you did not have an exercise habit, you're like, okay, so for every day I'm gonna at least exercise for 30 minutes for 90 days straight. Like you will fundamentally change your life.
You will literally change your life. I've been thinking about this with golf a lot lately. Like what if I actually,
I think you're just looking for an excuse to play more golf. But we know it would work. And in this case, you have like example after example of people living it out, having some level of instruction and habit around it, and actually creating this transformative outcome in that period of time. But I think it's also really important that you're not evaluating it of like, is this a good idea on day 5 or day 10? Because like you haven't really learned anything then. You haven't made any progress.
Exactly. And I think it's easy to get wrapped up in like looking in the analytics and trying to make decisions, especially early on. I think any creator that's been at it for a while appreciates that like you need to associate like the dopamine of creating stuff with like hitting share or hitting publish, not with like watching the algo rip and a bunch of likes coming through. And I think it's the same thing there. And something I've noticed for me as someone who's like made 500, 600 videos and then also fallen off and stopped is like the most important part of getting started again is like taking it from here and doing it all again. Because it's very easy to get wrapped up in like, okay, I've gone cold. I finally did it again. But it didn't change my life. It didn't get 1 million views. And it always comes back to like, I don't know, there's so many metaphors here. Maybe it's bigger than short form, but like you go to the gym, you don't expect to look amazing on the first or the 5th day. It's more about the long term, right?
I mean, running with that analogy, what I wrote down is track inputs, not outputs.
Yeah.
Because you have to get your dopamine hit from, I did the thing and I published it. And I'm paying attention to the outputs only because they might help me learn what to do differently in the future, not because I'm judging, was this worth doing based on it? Yeah.
And that, like Instagram, especially recently, and TikTok, I feel like in the old days of creating content, so many things were like hidden by the platforms. It's like you'd have to kind of like try and back into like the stats that were actually useful to you. In this day and age, in 2025, like I can go into an Instagram video and look at the skip rate. I can see how many people immediately skipped it and didn't even stay for the first 3 seconds. And so like beyond like glancing at that to see how my last swing looked, like carry on and make it better the next time. You always get people that are like hung up and like trying to analyze every little piece of it. And meanwhile, it's like you've made 7. You know?
Yep. Okay. 2 other quick things on this. First, how much time do you recommend that someone allocates on a daily basis?
It's vastly different. We tell people that like, even if you're coming in cold, so hopefully if you're making YouTube or doing a newsletter, even if the idea seems a little bit cold, you're not a total noob. Like an hour a day is a super reasonable starting point to get the ball rolling. That's obviously not the case if you decide to sit down and make much more complex videos, more complex edits. But to get the ball rolling and start to figure out the lay of the land, an hour a day is super reasonable.
Yep, I like that. And the second one is, where would you go, or what types of content ideas would you brainstorm to make sure that you have enough to pull from for, the 30 to go through cut 30 or 90 plus, right? To be able to stay consistent.
First and foremost, content begets content. Like if I make a video, I will inherently have more video ideas, right? And this comes in the form of comments or just like ideas that kickstarts, so on and so forth. So again, this comes down to like, we don't need the perfect idea list. We need to make the video. and let those ideas come. But there's all kinds of places to find this stuff. It's in the comments. It's in the FAQ of your website. A favorite for me is like when you get on a client call or a customer call, if you're talking to a customer from Kit, like every single time, the things that you were telling them that they should do, the approach that you gave them, the idea you gave them, like each of those is a video idea. So for me, when you start to feel stuck, you step back and then just kind of get back to the work, whether the work is creating content or the niche that you're in, so on and so forth. And that itself will create the ideas.
Yeah, so what I would write down here, right? If we're looking for ideas, that's going to equal really going from the call with a customer into a transcript. And then from that, we're going to get our ideas.
Yep.
And if I mine through that on a consistent basis and I meet with customers regularly, then I'm going to be like, oh, what things do I explain over and over again? And I can even make my little custom AI to keep going through the, the transcript and like highlight things that make sense.
I know for me personally, it's like, if you think about a call in that context, like you don't even have to review it, right? It's like you're talking through this and you find those moments where you're fired up and it's like, okay, there's right? Like
turns out I have opinions on that.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe I should share those
If you have an opinion, that's a video. Exactly. Exactly. It's a hell of a starting point.
All right, so the 3 steps to take short form video seriously are: first, break the seal; second, learn the edit; and then third, do it again tomorrow. I love that. We have this whole other thing that we want to get into, which is the hook. And hooks are everywhere in content, but they really, really matter in short form. I think about in long form, it's like your blog post, your title, like the hook matters, but it's only like 5% of the total content. In this case, it's like 25% of the content. And would you say like 50% or more of the success rate?
Yeah, I mean more, absolutely. The hook is all that matters, no matter how good the video is. And I think there's countless examples. The first chunk is the verbal.
The verbal
So
hook.
what you actually say to open up the video.
Okay. What you say to open up the video, that's clear. Give me an example.
Do you mind if we just establish an example video as we talk through this? I want to use this video I recently did. So I got a putting green put into my backyard.
Nice.
Congrats to me.
Yes,
It's been a long time coming.
That's how we know. Like, how do you know when I've made it? There will be signs.
There will be signs. So on that video, I open up with "everyone's been asking me," right? And so this isn't the snappiest verbal, but it's very relatable. And for my audience, which is really who I'm targeting with this, they've literally been asking me. Everybody's been asking me how much it costs to put a putting green into my house. How much it costs is exactly what everyone who's ever wanted a putting green is thinking about, right? So if I get you with putting green, that's your next question.
So I love "everyone's been asking me" because exactly as you said, it's instantly relatable. And I'm going, well, hold on, what have they all been asking you?
Exactly.
Apparently, if they've all been asking, it's worth knowing. And so like, you haven't said anything useful, but you've still got my attention with that hook. And it's a content idea as well of like, well, what does everyone ask you?
Right.
And it's like, great, well, let me just answer those with my content.
Exactly. And then the next place this goes, which gets a little bit beyond hook, there are different ways to talk about that, is the first question that comes to mind, which is how much this thing costs, right? And so by doing that, we've established that I'm talking about something interesting because people have been asking me about it. And then getting to money is always a good hook.
I love "everyone's been asking me." Tying it into money totally makes sense. It makes me think, is there like a list or a library of these that you would pull through? Or like, how do you know if you have a good verbal hook?
My litmus test in every video I make, I will write down at least a couple hooks, and then I will just go and record them and watch them back to myself. And just at the most basic level, like, would I stop scrolling if I saw this? Is this compelling? That's the easiest way to really tell, because there are some people that can make this video, there are some people that can make this hook turn into a 1 million view video, and some for whom it's a dud. And it all comes back to how I can perform that or deliver that, and whether or not that's a useful piece of this equation.
And that might be going back to the one line at a time. You might deliver this line a few different times and get to really work on that delivery.
Exactly.
I like that. So 3 keys to good hooks. Number 1 is verbal. What's number 2?
Next is visual. Is there something on screen that is compelling, that caught my attention, that interrupted my scroll and kept me around for longer?
Okay, so what's happening? There's definitely videos that I've watched where I realize that the visual doesn't even have that much to do with the video, but like I'm intrigued by what they're saying or what the caption is or something else. And the thing actually happening is so compelling that I just have to keep watching. Is that what you mean there?
I think most of the like traditionally viral videos, including like before the days of Instagram and TikTok, are basically an amazing visual hook, right? This is like the guy who, as soon as the video starts, is flying off his motorcycle in a crazy accident that makes me wonder what's going to happen, or something of that nature. The visual is the highest impact piece of a hook, and ultimately probably plays the biggest role in like whether or not the user is going to stop their scroll.
Okay, so in this, you could test both of these hooks with the skip rate, now that Instagram tells you what that is. But what are some examples that you've seen of a really good visual impact that's not a motorcycle crash, right? Like if I'm teaching you content creation or how to build an online business, I'm probably not crashing motorcycles in my clips.
So I want to come back to this example video that we were talking about with the putting green in my backyard. For this, the visual hook I used was a starting point of, I've got this terrible side yard that grass won't grow because it's too shaded. So I've got this image of just a dead, crappy side yard that everybody's got over on the other side of the thing that they never want to look at, right? And in the hook, it starts with that, and then it flips to this beautiful, pristine putting green.
Oh, and it all ties together because everyone's been asking, what does it cost? And I see the before, and so every bit of that converges on the idea, like you're about to show me
what
the real thing looks like. Right?
And then fairly quickly, I think in the case of this video I'm describing, it's like within 2 or 3 seconds, like we're not pushing that off to the end to reveal it. We're immediately showing that to kind of drive home the relatability and like, you've got that crappy space in your yard. What if it was not this? So on and so forth.
Well, and the other thing is from a retention perspective, you know, if you're giving them the visual payoff within a couple of seconds of here's what it looks like, you still have the psychological hook retaining them of money. Like you still haven't told me how much it costs.
Yeah.
So now I'm invested in it's relatable. I want to see what's coming, and I want to know. Okay, great. How much did it cost? Because I got that side yard. Are we $3,000 in, or are we $50,000 in?
Exactly. And I think in the case of this video, it really drives home the relatability, like you're saying, because it's not it shows them right out of the gate that we're not talking about a grandiose thing. We didn't spend $50,000, right? Yep. It's something more attainable that I could relate to.
I like that a lot. So what else matters in the visual hook?
I think at the end of the day, if it can't be something incredibly compelling that stops the scroll, it needs to set the context for the video that we're watching, right? If it is guy in a room, that is part of the visual hook. That is part of the context of the video. Whether or not it's compelling is a different conversation. Something we're seeing these days on TikTok especially is these traditional yapper videos like I've been talking about that are fairly raw. People are adding a notebook and a pen to these videos. And there's a bunch of accounts that are blowing up doing this. They're doing the exact same thing, but they've now got a notebook out and a pen in their hand referencing their notes, which adds this huge implication that they've got a bunch of value here in front of them and that they're about to share it for you. And those videos are hooking tenfold better than the same person at the same table saying the same stuff, but without that adding on and kind of creating some mystery.
Now, is that notes pre-written and that they're cutting to for a second and then back?
They don't cut to them. It's literally just this. It's similar to having like a laptop out, right? But there's something much more tactile and real and concrete about the notebook. It's literally just, I have these notes and I'm sharing them with you.
So if the camera is coming from if the shot is coming that way, right? And I have it, like I just have the notebook and the pen in my hand. You can't see what's in it. You can just see that
Yeah, and maybe I look down at it to reference it, whether or not there's actually something there or whether it's chicken scratch, who knows, right? But that takes the same video that's like guy in a room talking about stuff and significantly amps up the hook and stops the scroll.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Whereas that would be a tiny test. And I guess that's the advantage of being part of a community working on all this. That's probably what you got from your original group chat as well, where someone's like, hey, I saw this thing and now I'm going to try it. Oh, it worked. And then you...
Absolutely. It's kind of like a modern version of like early on in short form, people started using wacky microphones.
Yeah.
Right. So like it went from no mic to like, okay, I'm holding a little lapel to maybe it's my AirPods, and all these things kind of like had their moment to
and then
like
you see people with like an SM7B.
Yeah, with this, or it's like you'll see somebody attach it to like we have a baker in Cut 30 and she attaches her little DJI mic to a spatula.
Right.
Right. Right. And so I think the notebook and pen is kind of like an extension of that, where it's just like adding this layer of visual, something visually interesting, as well as context. right? When I see that, it's like, oh, this guy has studied this stuff
Right.
so much he has notes, right? This must be good.
I like that. I just wrote down props because the notebook is a prop and it takes what otherwise would be a very boring visual hook and makes it quite interesting. I like it. Okay, so what is number 3?
3 is the title, and this is exactly what it sounds like. This is the text that is on the screen during those first couple seconds. All of these things play together. They all can complement each other or in some cases be redundant. The title's biggest job is to like clearly and concisely lay out the promise and the topic.
All right, so the title is what's on screen in those first 3 seconds. Going back to your putting green example, like what do you have on there?
This is clear cut as it comes. Backyard, putting green, install. We're not gonna win any awards, but it very clearly sets out what is gonna happen in this video. And then I think critically, if you think about how you interact with a video, like in the explore page, where you're scrolling and you have this grid of all these small videos, this is a very, very clearly laid out that there's a video here about a backyard putting green install, right? Without a title hook, it's just a guy on camera, maybe with some grass behind me, right? But that's a big piece of getting that click through from explore page. Other versions of this are also comments, right? If somebody leaves a comment on a video and you reply to it, that comment sticker can serve as a title hook, as being text that sets the tone for what your video is about and explains the video. And at the end of the day, it's something that the viewer can immediately look at and absorb to understand what they're getting themselves into as they keep watching.
So if I see the comment, so it might be the shot of you, this is kind of our thumbnail or that initial thing, and then I see the comment up above your head, I immediately know, oh, you're responding to a reader question.
Yes.
And then if you're saying, everyone's been asking me, well, yes, here is photographic proof of someone asking.
In retrospect, for this video, I should have taken one of the comments from my previous content about this and used somebody asking that question, what's your putting green cost, as a comment, as that title hook. Using like native pieces of the UI always obviously will perform better than like edited text. Better luck next time, I guess.
So really what we're seeing here is all 3 parts of this fitting together and playing off of each other, right? In that video, what you're saying matches the visuals, matches the title. They all reinforce it. If I don't have what you're saying because audio is off or whatever else, the title and the visuals both match. Is that right? That you have all 3 play off each other?
Yeah, I think there's no right or wrong with all this stuff. You have to have one of these be good to get a video go. And then the more the merrier, obviously. That classic viral video example is nothing but a visual. One of these has to be excellent to get some traction and get a video to move.
One of those must be great. I like it.
So one of these must be great in order to get a video to go. It doesn't matter how good the video is. It doesn't matter the topic. It doesn't matter if you're gonna tell somebody how to make $1 million tomorrow. Like genuinely in that video, if we don't have one of these to stop that scroll and keep people around, obviously nobody's gonna watch it, but more importantly, the algo isn't gonna have a signal that this is good content that I should then serve to more people.
That's really helpful on hooks. I wanna zoom out and kind of go to a meta level. If we were to make short form video from this long form podcast, what's an example of something that we would create?
A video about the video of the video. Okay. I got a bunch of places we can take this. The first one is, let's start with a one shot. And I got a couple places we take this. So first, I need you to grab like a static shot, pulling in, come past the camera, make sure that there's white space and open space for text in the middle. And you don't need us saying anything particular.
Just the hand gestures.
Yeah, as long as I'm not looking at you, right? It's this, right? And then on that, there's a couple different directions that we could go. Self-deprecation and humor always plays well here. And I think in your case, as the CEO and the owner of this business, you can do kind of a humble brag that pokes fun at yourself and do something like POV, I spent just in order to get my friends here to talk about yada yada, right? And do some copy around that.
I spent $1 million. I didn't spend $1 million, but it'd be like with POV. I spent $1 million to just try to
just to pick the brains of people I met on the internet, right, or something.
Just get them to teach me how to become internet famous, or
exactly
whatever.
We could do that. Another angle, if we were really wanting to harp on the gear, same exact shot. Maybe it stays with the Sony in the frame a little bit longer, and it rattles off the gear stack that you picked for your podcast studio, and it hooks with money again. I spent X amount building out podcast studios. this is the gear stack. And it's like, and this board. And we switched to this board after that because
another one that I would do, everyone's been asking me how much it costs to build out this podcast studio. Yeah, it's just about $26,000 in case anyone was wondering. Yeah. But I shouldn't deliver that because I need to hook them with the fingers out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's
a good example. One thing that I like in the one shot that you were describing is it's not a clip from one of our fancy cameras because that doesn't set the whole stage of the studio. What you had was Kara, our producer, pull in from behind the camera,
the iPhone,
so that we get the visual of like, ooh, here's these guys in a fancy studio with all the lighting, with the fancy cameras. What are they talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a little bit more of a hook.
Yeah, versus just a frame of guys talking, which is what any of these cameras is going to give us, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention with all these cameras, there's so many layers to it. You're going to get the mic. The lights are kind of visually interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things. Okay, I love that. All right, so that's the one shot. What would be another example of a reel that we create from this?
I think that each of these boards is a reel.
Okay. Right. Do you want to try that right now? Like, what's the reel that you would make if you were to say, and then we're just doing this, I'll pick up, but if I were to take, taking short form video seriously means,
it could be something like, I posted 93 Instagram videos. I haven't actually made one yet or something like that.
Let me try it. All right. No, step out of this. You were good. I posted 93 Instagram videos and none of them have really taken off. So that's why I have my guest today, Colin, come in and show me how to take short form video seriously. The 3 things that he's taught me: 1, break the seal, just dive in and start creating content and learn from what you do consistently. 2nd is learn the edit. You can dive in, just use the tools, use CapCut, get in there, start editing. The goal here is to be as efficient as possible. If you've come from long form, you need to get short and tight. And 3rd is just do it again tomorrow. By staying consistent over a long period of time, we're going to learn with every rep and eventually get to something great.
So on that,
how would you workshop?
I was thinking about your hook. You said I posted, what did you say?
I posted 93 videos.
So just in like saying the same thing more efficiently and with less words, it might be like, I'm 93 videos in. Just like we're into it way quicker, it rolls off the tongue smoother. And again, it says the same thing. We don't need to say posted because right? It's all implied.
That was really helpful for ways to improve it. What else did you notice or what would you do differently?
I think we just need to go beyond bullet points for this. You're obviously good at speaking publicly and can rattle this stuff off. If we drill down exactly what you're going to say, you're going to have much better delivery. And then when we go to tighten it up in the edit, it's just going to be that much tighter, punchier, and more concise.
So if we were actually making this, we would go ahead and make the outline or the script and then deliver it one line at a time instead of me trying to riff it off of this.
That, and then get a little personality moment, a quip, something like that in there. My typical format is hook, joke, or something of that nature, and then the bullet points.
Okay. Maybe it's just because I'm not naturally a funny person. Yeah. Like what types of jokes are you working in, or what's the
joke's probably overstating it. Like a quip, a nod that people in my audience might get that isn't necessarily going to distract new people. That
just like your little like nod or wink to the camera. Yeah. Not literally, but
exactly. I think the goal of all this should be to make a video that only you can make, and like just injecting a little personality is the easiest way to do that.
Say more about the video that only you can make, because I see a lot of things happening where people go through and be like, I don't know, this ripped on Colin's channel, so let me just make the exact same video.
Yeah, that does happen from time to time. I guess that's the nature of the beast. But I think we were talking about saturation earlier, and if you're showing up and making content that anybody can make, then you should absolutely be worried about that. But it really comes down to like adding qualifiers to the hook in the video itself that make the value that you're delivering relevant to a specific person who's suffering from that or needs the solution that you have or something similar. So for you, instead of talking about like how to make a reel, maybe it's how to make a reel as a CEO of an XYZ software company who doesn't have time to right? All these modifiers that make it so that instead of speaking to 100 million people, and then instead of drilling down to like an entrepreneur, drill down to like executives in software who also relate to that problem, so on and so forth. That video probably has less upside from a viewership standpoint, but like we were talking about earlier, they're going to be much more impactful viewers.
Colin, this has been amazing. I feel like you've broken down so many aspects of what it means to take short form seriously. But if we zoom out, right? If we win on Instagram and TikTok, it has a broader purpose, right? We're trying to build a business and drive revenue. How do you think about that?
I think that, so for me personally, I've done a lot of businesses in my career. And as a starting point, I will never again do a business where I don't have short form as like the primary driver of getting attention, leads, and the overall marketing strategy. It's that big of a deal.
That's huge to apply it in all these different areas. What that tells me is if you already have a business that's successful, you can layer short form on top of that and get some huge returns. What I'm curious about is we've covered a bunch of examples. I think people understand how, if they were a traditional creator coming into short form, or they're just getting started, like why it would matter. But what about in the business space? Are there any examples of someone going through Cut 30 who's like, I don't know, applied it in an area that you totally wouldn't expect, or like it actually worked in their industry where you're like, short form would never make sense?
Often we get the question of like, will this work for X? And my answer is always like, if humans are your buyers, then you're in good shape, right? With this, a recent example of this guy that's crushing is a dentist. Okay. You got a dentist. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Extremely relatable though, because everybody uses a dentist, right? Humans use a dentist. And he's blown up his practice and his TikTok with these very, very simple call and response videos where he has someone off camera ask him, like, name a product or a trend or a service. We call them expert rating videos. And then he gives it a very quick response, his opinion on it, rates it 1 to 10, and then the next one. And these videos are absolutely ripping for him. We also have a contractor. They specialize in siding, I believe.
Okay.
Who's used this exact same format to get, I think 50, 100,000 views on a video. It's not a tremendous amount of views, but with the localized nature of these algorithms, if you're a siding contractor in Salem, Oregon, in that case, and you get 75,000 views on your video about what siding is best, and they're like concentrated, half of them are like within 100 miles. Like, do you think that's valuable for your business? Like, the answer is it's totally ridiculous, right? It's incredibly valuable, whether you're like selling e-com and running TikTok shop, like a lot of e-com brands are these days, or if you're just in a standard service business and driving leads or running a dental practice.
So the call and response videos are interesting because I've seen the one, probably the first one I saw go really viral, I think was the plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Talking and just like rate this. He's like 7, whatever.
That's the model. That's it. I don't know if he's the innovator, but like that's the one.
Yeah. And it was like a plastic surgeon rates these beauty trends.
Exactly.
Right. And people do it with books. They do it with all kinds of things. How important is it to find a format that's super consistent? Like Jefferson Fisher in his car every single video. Yeah. Versus like trying a bunch of things and branching out?
So we think about this, we call them pillars, right? And at any given moment, you should be having 3 or 4 different pillars that are kind of like what you're running with right now. And then at some sort of regular interval, whether it's every month or every 60 days, you should be looking at your content, what's working, which of those pillars is performing well for you versus which is like maybe a little bit stale, and swapping it in and out. So something like this call and response video that a dentist or a plastic surgeon, et cetera, is doing, ride it till the wheels fall off. And then once it's a dud, maybe you end up retiring it and swapping something else in. Then with the yapping in the car, talking about XYZ, again, this is like a pillar. It never is a matter of like, which one should I do? It's a matter of how they fit into your mix, and then continually refreshing that and taking a fresh approach, looking at the numbers, pulling the stats into a spreadsheet and making decisions about how to adjust and go forward from there.
I like that. And then would you continue with daily for like all year long as this is working and all that? Once we've gone from a, hey, just stay consistent perspective into a, what actually works for the algorithm in your business, how do you think about timing?
I think that daily is extremely productive for learning. And then in most cases, it's also a great approach to the algorithm and just getting volume out in the world as well. A lot of serious creators end up getting to 2 or 3 times a day across mediums, right? When you look at look, we've got a very simple one-shot video. It's very low lift. It doesn't take me or my editing team any energy to actually execute that versus a more nuanced talking head video versus a carousel, right? Which is like just another format, both on TikTok and Instagram. All of these different things, I think 1 a day is a starting point for taking it seriously. There are use cases for getting into like 4 or 5 a week or something like that, or for taking it up You cannot lose if you're sitting down and shipping a video a day and then trying to get better as you do it. It will work. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
I love that. That idea of consistent execution, and then to quote our buddy James Clear, like 1% better every day. Just keep learning. This has been amazing. We could riff on this for so much more, but you've taught a ton of stuff for free. You also have Cut 30, which is a program where if someone wants to dive in and say, hey, I want accountability and I want structure and all of this, they can actually go through it. How often do you run new cohorts of Cut 30?
Yeah, so every 6 weeks, we do another cohort. It is cohort-based, which is a lot of fun. I love it. My favorite thing about those is the office hours we do, which are less formal than the Zooms, where we just get on and talk shop and basically do this about 20 different people's content or however many join that day. We do those every 6 weeks. We've run, I think, coming up on 2,000 people through them. Everything from founders to creators, wannabe creators, or aspiring creators, as well as e-commerce brands, local businesses. I think the weak point of Cut 30 is we've kind of got something for everybody, but that makes it a lot of fun and eclectic. And at the end of the day, this is a big experiment, I think. And so all of these different content types actually end up playing really well together. And a lot of the time we'll have people find success with something they never would have seen themselves doing. So Cut 30 every 6 weeks.
I love that. What's the URL for Cut 30?
Cut30.co.
Perfect. And what is your Instagram if someone wants to find out what everyone's been asking you about the golf putting green?
It was $8,500.
Ooh, the payoff finally comes.
Super reasonable for the record. And my Instagram and everywhere is just Landforce, my last name, Landforce like Air Force, but land.
I like it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
If you like this episode, go check out episode 103 with Nicole Burke. She shares the simple short-form systems that helped her go from 0 to $6 million in annual revenue with Gardenary. Be sure to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.